And hello, everyone. I'm Tim Derling. Welcome to this special edition of Tim's Vinyl Confessions, Christmas Eve edition. This probably won't be a long one. Got a lot of things going on, of course. Hope you do too. And if you've taken the time to sit and watch, are you sure there aren't any last-minute presents you should be going out to get? Anyway, I'm here to talk about a CD that's only been out for a couple of months now. And I'm doing it today because it's very, very appropriate. And it is the latest from Cheap Trick, which is a Christmas album, their very first. It is called Christmas, Christmas. Some classic Cheap Trick typewritten artwork there, and of course the checkerboards. Cheap Trick have been in a creative role lately. In 2016 they put out an excellent album, Bang Zoom Crazy Hello. Earlier this year they put out We're All Right, a new studio album, and then I guess you could call this a new studio album, but it is a seasonal one. And it's very, very good. So if you've got Cheap Trick fans on your buying list and you don't think they have this, you're like, would they want a Cheap Trick Christmas album? Yes, they would. So here's the side of it. It's again on Big Machine Records, as their last couple have been. And this album is a pretty good combination of old and new songs. Not a lot of overdone Christmas songs on here. There are a couple of what you might call standards, but it's not. It's definitely not boring. I don't know if I like it yet quite as much as Twisted Sisters of Twisted Christmas, which is just so much fun. Helix's Heavy Metal Christmas is a good one too, as far as like rock albums go. And I know it seems maybe a little cheesy for these rock bands to be putting out Christmas albums, but we're all getting to be of a certain age. We all have families, and this is perfectly acceptable to throw on at a party. There's nothing offensive about it. So, thought I'd go through track by track of the Cheap Trick Christmas album. Checkerboards in the background there. Once again, like their previous two, this was produced by the band and a guy named Julian Raymond. And it's got credits and lyrics to all the songs in here. First up, we have Merry Christmas, Darlings, which is an original. It was written by Robin Zander, Rick Nielsen, and Tom Peterson. Just gets things going. And the overall theme is it's up. The most of the album is up. And so the next one, I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day. I'm not familiar with this song, but it's obviously a cover from 1973. But I do recognize the name of the writer. The guy's name is Roy Wood, and he was in a band called The Move. And The Move eventually evolved into ELO, not with Roy Wood. I think he went on to a band called Wizard. But Roy Wood figures in the Cheap Trick story. If you know anything about Cheap Trick, among other things, he wrote the song California Man. So that's one of his songs. The next one is called, it's a very similar title. So we go from I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day to I Wish It Was Christmas Today. Like a little impatient sounding. And I can only guess, someone out there I'm sure knows, can correct me on there, let me know what it's all about. I can only guess this originated on Saturday Night Live because the song was written by Jimmy Fallon and Horatio Sanz. Or maybe it originated on Fallon Show. I'm not really sure. It's a fun song. Another fun song. Very punky. Kind of Billy Idol-ish. And Cheap Trick have that punk side of them too, where that just sort of abandoned, where they just where they just kind of play it like that. That comes into play later on in this album too. Next one. Merry Christmas, Everybody. This is a song that in the UK, as soon as you start it, people are like, oh yeah, we know that we hear it every year. It's a standard. It's a song by Slade, and over here not so much on this side of the pond, but once you hear it, a lot of people will go, oh, I know that song, and Cheap Trick do a good version of it. Next up, one of what I would call it, well, it's a secular standard, Please Come Home for Christmas. Probably best known for the Eagles version. I know John Bon Jovi did a version of it too, so Robin Sanders just sounds fantastic on this album too. His vocals are just holding up unbelievably. Now, unfortunately, I've never seen Cheap Trick live, so I can't speak to what he sounds like in concert now, but on record, in studio, he still sounds amazing. Next one, Remember Christmas. This is another cover. This is a Harry Nilsson song, which I'm not familiar with. It's a slower one. Like I said, it's a quick album too. You can put it on at a Christmas party, and not everybody's into it. It'll be over soon enough, but if they're into it, they might just want to hear it again. Next up, another oldie but goodie. Has been covered many times, a Johnny Marks song, best known for Chuck Berry's version, Run, Run, Rudolph, or Run, Rudolph, Run is the actual title of it, of course. Chuck Berry probably made it famous. I think the Stones did it, or at least Keith Richards did it. Bryan Adams did it in the 80s. And it's one of those ones you can't really go wrong with it, and the band sounds so good on it. It'd make it into a classic Cheap Trick song. Next one might be my favorite on the album. It's another one that if you're my age, you grew up listening to, pop and rock radio during the holidays, you'll no doubt have heard Father Christmas by the Kinks, which is kind of a, I don't want to say it's a sarcastic, but it's kind of dark. It's about these poor kids that beat up Santa, and they don't want toys, they need money. Their dad's broke, and you've heard it. I'm sure you've heard it a million times. And it's slowed down a little bit from what I remember. It's a little slower than the Kinks version, but it's really, really good. Like I said, might be my favorite on the album. And then, completely changing the tone. An excellent version of Silent Night, where again Robin Zander just knocks it out of the park. It just sounds so good. Starts off with just him and a little keyboard or orchestral in the background. Kind of reminds me of the beginning of Stop This Game. If you're a diehard Cheap Trick fan, you know that song from my personal favorite album by Cheap Trick, All Shook Up. Then they pick up the energy again with a slightly newer one, but still recognizable. Merry Christmas, I Don't Want to Fight Tonight, of course, Ramones song. And like I said, Cheap Trick always had that little touch of punk to them. They're versatile. They've influenced just about every genre, but so when they get into that punk mode, it fits them. It doesn't sound out of place. And the last two songs kind of go together. Our Father of Life, which is another original. The last two songs are originals. And then it goes into the title song, Christmas, Christmas. The two songs are kind of intertwined. Our Father of Life's a little slower, and then it picks up towards the end. So all in all, it's very much worth picking up, and it's a fun album to put on. Not really any time of year, but this time of year it's cool to have a rock album that you can put on and it still fits. So it's very well done. I'm quite happy with it. Sometimes these bands put out these albums, you're like, am I really going to want to listen to this? And this one I've listened to quite a few times now, and it is highly recommended. Also, a couple days ago, Rick Nielsen, guitarist from Cheap Trick, celebrated birthday, so happy birthday, Rick. And I really hope I get to see these guys now. They're on a roll. It wouldn't surprise me if we see a new Cheap Trick album sometime during the next year. So, Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays, and thank you for tuning in to Tim's Vinyl Confessions.